I had plans to upload an Ask Tailosive, but too many people asking about this. I have too many thoughts and opinions on it. You see, sometimes people will send me a video and be like, Drew, react to this one. And usually I don't care too much about it, but it's entertaining for you. But this one just kind of bugs me. Now, I'm not a subscriber to Linus Tech Tips. I think he's a very different type of tech YouTuber. I'm not saying he's a bad one. He just highlights a different side of tech that I'm not as interested in. That is building your own PCs, designing and customizing them. That seems to be a lot of what his channel is. And also just crazy 16K gaming builds that no one can actually do. Also too many ad reads for me. But I know people who watch them. I understand why you enjoy him. I have an issue with his latest video about the iMac Pro. He's complaining basically that Apple will not fix it, even though it's out of warranty. They did something to the computer that Apple advises everyone not to do. And on top of that, I'm just confused by the video's point. First of all, the video starts off with a malfunction shot, and I'm confused if this is supposed to be a joke or if this is supposed to be genuinely believable. One of the guys over at Linus Tech Tips is working on the iMac Pro. He's trying to fix it, and then this very fake-looking spark shows up. If you don't believe it's fake, I'll slow it down for you and zoom in a little bit. You can see as the camera moves, the spark moves with it. So clearly this is added. Without a doubt, I'm not even the one who spotted it. People were sending it to me and saying, wait, that's not real at all. Which makes me wonder if that was supposed to be funny or if it was just them hoping you wouldn't notice. But I mean, come on guys, don't you edit with PCs? Don't you use Adobe products? There's this thing in After Effects called tracking. It's not that hard. You could have put a spark in and tracked the spark with the video and it would have looked a lot more convincing. Still wrong and fake, but it wouldn't have taken that much time. In fact, probably would have taken less time than it took you to talk about Squarespace. So on top of that, what they bring up is that they're upset because they're willing to pay Apple. We just want them to fix it. To which I bring up, there's a reason Apple asks you not to do that. There's a reason people buy all-in-ones. It's because they're not really into customizing the innards of that computer. They're not really into yanking the display off, messing around with the circuitry, breaking that in the process, which also, by the way, that first shot, which really bothers me, looks incredibly staged because if they did break the glass on the iMac, if it was broken, why were they filming the entire setup process? In my opinion, I see the guy's arm cover up the part of the glass that breaks, so the glass broke off camera. They said, oh, we can make a video about this. Let's pretend to do it again. So you cover up the glass that's broken, pretend to drop it a second time, because that goes easy on an all-in-one iMac, dropping the display repeatedly. And then we're even gonna add in a spark effect, so it's even more believable. Jeez, guys, can we calm down a little bit and look at what the function of this device is? Apple doesn't even provide an easy way really to change the RAM on the iMac Pro. I may be saying this a lot, but there is a reason Apple asks you not to do something with their product. And I think even the Linus Tech Tip crew can agree that if you modify a product in a way that it's not supposed to be modified, you can't necessarily expect the company to now fix all of the problems you've created for yourself. Because in my opinion, based on the evidence I've seen of them showing the thumbnail of Linus bending the glass, shattering part of the iMac, and then the glass is broken, but then they cover it up, drop it for the camera just for kicks, and then expect Apple to do something about it. But we're willing to pay. Why can't they fix it? Personally, I think it's because the iMac Pro is assembled in such a way that if you start modifying it, as Apple asks you not to, if you start dropping individual parts of the computer, as Apple definitely doesn't want you to do, especially guys, this is a desktop. People who buy the iMac Pro typically unbox it and put it on their desk. They tried to, in that video, explain that what if this was some other company? What if this was some other iMac Pro that Apple refused to fix? What company is going to be dropping their displays, taking the iMac Pro apart? And if so, that's a pretty stupid company. If they care about replacing parts of their computer or modifying their computer, they wouldn't be getting an iMac Pro. Long time ago, back with my 2012 iMac, after a year of using it, it was doing great, but we started to notice the fan in it started making a weird noise. We went, this is kind of bizarre. I guess we'll take it to an Apple store. We brought it to the Apple store. They said, sure, we'll fix this right up. Took like 5 days. We got it back. Couldn't hear the fan anymore, and that iMac still runs perfectly fine to this day, running the latest version of macOS High Sierra. That was in 2012, so I don't like this reputation that Apple doesn't want to fix old stuff. If you break something, Apple won't fix it. Let me bring up a different scenario for you. There's a YouTube channel I really enjoy watching called Strange Parts. This guy modified his iPhone 7 to have a headphone jack again. Not that I want a headphone jack back. It's just really cool that he was able to modify his phone to do that. He designed his own custom iPhone. Really impressive channel, and he shows you the intricate details of modifying his own phone. Upgrading the storage, getting laser etchings on the back, and it's really cool. However, when he experiences problems on his channel, which he does all the time, constantly he'll be soldering something and something breaks and he goes, oh no, this didn't work out. He doesn't doesn't then go, well, time to take it to Apple. Wait, Apple's not gonna fix my headphone jack modification on the iPhone 7? Similarly, if you're a fan of Linus Tech Tips and you like his gaming PC stuff, if you started modifying like a GTX 1080, if you started to solder things into it and take it apart in a way that NVIDIA doesn't want you to take it apart, and you start soldering into the circuit board, break pieces of the graphics card in the process, and then hand it to NVIDIA and say, hey, fix this GPU. Are they really gonna look at your intricate details and individual breaking parts and fix it, or are they probably just gonna tell you need to buy a new one? Using products not the way they're meant to be intended usually means it's not really worth the company's time, and I don't think this is limited to Apple. Maybe some of you out there think NVIDIA would do that. NVIDIA, by the way, I soldered a new type of prototype chip I wanted to the GPU, which I know you don't want us to do, and in the process I happened to drop the GPU and now it's not working. Can you fix it? I'm willing to pay you. Or is NVIDIA just gonna be like, no, this isn't really worth it? To me, this was the equivalent of taking a PC tower case, snapping it in half, and then bringing it to the company and asking them for glue to put it back together. The iMac Pro is so intricate, it's so focused on being thin, that especially if you start dropping your computer, breaking it, I don't think it's gonna be really worth Apple's time, because they're gonna take it to an Apple store, which, as they said in the video, they're supposed to be waiting for parts. They have plenty of other things to do that's gonna be more worth their time. Battery replacements for both Apple Watches and phones. People dropping their screens who have Apple Care. People who have Apple Care definitely probably get the priority at an Apple store. If you don't have Apple Care, you bought this iMac Pro months ago, and you took it apart in a way that Apple asked you not to do, and you broke individual pieces, are they really gonna be like, stop working on the phone, stop working on the watches, stop working on all the stuff that people paid for with Apple Care, so that we can work on this guy's crazy iMac Pro bill? Because he tried to take it apart when he wasn't supposed to, but now this is Apple's fault, right? No, not really. Most people who bought the iMac Pro truly enjoyed it because of how simple it is. It's kind of the ideal Mac for what Apple's always been striving for, which is you plug it in and it just works. Now, next year in 2019, Apple's supposedly working on that Mac Pro, which we've talked about, go for it. Try to customize that thing. That's the point of it. It's more modular. You're supposed to be able to upgrade individual parts. That's what you should wait for. But when Apple releases something that's specifically designed to not be upgradable, it's supposed to just be a solid all-in-one design. It's supposed to be able to last you for a long time, and then you just rip it apart, break apart the individual pieces, and get mad that Apple's not fixing it. I think you're completely disregarding the purpose of the product. And you're treating the iMac Pro like it's supposed to be some PC that you can send back to the company that made it and they'll fix the individual components. This is not the case. What it means is the parts that they would have to order to replace the iMac Pro are likely going to cost as much, or cost the employees as much time and money as just buying a new one. So they're probably just gonna tell him that, well, since you didn't pay for Apple Care, even though you ripped this thing apart, you dropped pieces of it several times, no, this is no longer a priority to us. We are gonna work on iPhones, because more people are worried about that than there are people ripping apart their iMac Pro. I imagine Apple doesn't produce a lot of these desktops every single month. I'm sure it's a very small number, which means that, no, they can't really go to the factory and say, oh, here's the assembly line of components for the iMac Pro. We need one. Someone broke theirs. Why is it such a hard idea to believe that maybe something was broke beyond fixing? Similar to his car analogy that Linus used in his video, because in his video he uses the example of, what if you just bought a car, drove it into a pole, and neither the dealer or your insurance wanted to fix it? Cars get totaled all the time. I was in a car accident back when I drove a Ford Ranger. It didn't take much. I just got rear-ended. Now it would cost more than the truck is worth to fix it. So what's the point? And when you're being this brutal to your iMac Pro, I totally get the idea that you have totaled it. As in, getting the parts to you to fix it are gonna cost more than the iMac Pro itself is worth. Linus, just buy a new one. You can definitely afford it with the amount of ad reads you're doing. And to the people who disagree with me on this topic, I'd love to hear what you have to think in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one. Audible is a great place to read books, except if you don't want to look at them. Have we also talked about iFixit in Repair? iFixit in Repair repairs things, if you couldn't tell that by the name. Have we also talked about Dollar Shave Club? Dollar Shave Club is a monthly subscription service that allows you to get razors and shave butter in the mail.